Hi, Alice Wheaton again, and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about a subject, and it's about the bees. It's not about birds and the bees, but just the bees. It's called the dance like a bee. And so it's especially important for salespeople because salespeople understand that 80% of their sales come from 20% of their client. And another measurement is that 80% of sales come from 20% of sales reps. That's called the Pareto Principle. In 1906, there was an Italian economist who noticed this during a study of the various businesses that he worked in, especially among landowners. This was in Italy, and if the land in a certain area was distributed evenly amongst a group of people, then after a short while, 80% of that land belonged to 20% of the people. And so that's why we hear often the Pareto Principle applies here. And so in my world, and when I work with organizations, I encourage them and their salespeople to adapt the principle of constantly spending 20% of their time prospecting for new business. And my rationale is supported really from this story. We've all heard the expression dance like a bee. And so what that comes from is that when bees leave the hive, they go out to a field and they find flowers, and then they find a reliable source of nectar. Those bees come back to the hive and they do dance. They flap their wings and they tap their little bitty feet. And what happens is that the rest of the bees understand the longitude and latitude of the flowers, of the field of flowers, and the nectar that they can turn into honey. Well, 20% of the bees don't get the dance. I assumed that they're entertained and that they clap their little tiny wings, but they don't get the dance. So what do? Well, then they fly out all over the place. And they find renewable sources of nectar. Because you see, if 100% of those bees kept going to the same source again and again and again, pretty soon the hive would collapse because there'd be no new sources of nectar. When those 20% of the bees go out and find new fields, they come back and they also do the dance. And so what happens though is that they are destined to always be the foragers. They never ever get to understand the dance. And so salespeople need to be like that. Salespeople need to constantly be on the lookout for new opportunities for growth, to create more business, because your clients are going to leave. They're going to leave through attrition, to mergers, through acquisition. They're going to go out of business, and they're going to be bought out by by their competitors. Those competitors will have their own suppliers that they'll want to do with, quite possibly. But the other reason is that even if none of your clients leave, even if you keep them all, then adding to the roster of clients just simply adds to the profitability of the organization. And that's why those entrepreneurs or their organization took the chance in the first place, was for growth. If you're standing still, you're eventually going to slide backwards. It's companies that are progressive, that are constantly going after new opportunities. Those are the ones that are going to succeed, especially in tough times. These are the companies, the big game hunter and closers. These are the companies that sell more no matter what the market conditions. Companies that have a progressive attitude towards prospecting, getting new clients. And there's 5 or 6 ways of prospecting, and we'll talk about that in another video. But for now, I want you to understand that it is incumbent on us as salespeople to be always looking for new opportunities, to be going further and further afield and finding the sources, that renewable source for us. And so until next time, I want you to sell well and look for new opportunities. Thank you for being with me. Bye for now.